Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on Camouflage's second album, Methods of Silence. This album came out in 1989. When I think of the overall of this album, there's a couple good songs. It's not one of their stronger albums. Um, after the year before this, 87, 88 was their first album came out, and their big hit with Great Commandment. And that was a really strong album. A lot of people compare them to Depeche Mode, and rightly so. I mean, they did sound like Depeche Mode. I remember when Great Commandment came out in 1988, and my sister had the 12-inch, and she played it, and I was, and we were, she was so excited to show me. She was like, "Who does this sound like?" And I was like, "It's Depeche Mode, right?" And she was like, "No, it's not." And she's like, "It's a group called Camouflage," and we were just like, "Wow, this is a really good song. It sounds a lot like Depeche Mode." Fast forward 20 years, fast forward 10 or 15 years, I never heard any more Camouflage. It wasn't until in the late, early 2000s that I finally buy this album. And then I sort of had a, I sort of found them again in some ways with their album. Their album's called, I can't remember the album's called. It has the song Perfect on it. And then, of course, I really like I think it was their 2015 album. So my history with Camouflage is kind of spotty. I think I know three or four of their albums, but you know, they definitely have some different periods. This is probably their weakest album of the ones that I've heard by far. Unfortunately, there's only really a couple good songs on here. In fact, one of maybe two of them save it from being probably a not a good album at all. Um, in fact, it'd probably be below not very good. Probably be closer to like just very poor. I wouldn't call it crap, but it's 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 kind of close to it. If it didn't have a couple songs on here. There's nine songs on here. 10 if you call the instrumental. Um, it's not a bad sounding album. It's not produced very well. There's there's some there's some parts where you kind of hear like he talks over a few of the songs. He like talks like obviously they're overdubs. They do the song and then later on he's in the studio and he's like talking. It sounds like he's talking over like a intercom. Like it's so much louder than the rest of the song. There's a few songs that have that in it, and you're just like, not only is it a voice or it's a certain part of the song. Maybe it's the background vocal. It's just like it doesn't sound good at all in the mix. It sounds like a mono track, and then you have this pronounced voice on it or sound or something like that that just volume wise just doesn't fit. Doesn't go with it all. It's a very raw album in that respect as far as the production. Now it's not horrible, and the songwriting isn't horrible, but it's not good. When you think of the amount of songs in here, there's really barely enough to make an album. There's there's a song that's instrumental. There's a song that I very much dislike, and then there's like maybe a couple okay ones. So you're just like, there's barely enough to make seven songs, and it's a very below average instrumental too. Um, the track number nine is 35 seconds long, and then there's an instrumental. So just the last two tracks, there's like 4 minutes of really not very good music. It's just um, it's just it's unfortunate because I really like Camouflage sound and their highs and some of their songs I really like, but some of their it's from what I find because and again I only have like, well, I only own two albums and I've heard three or four. I want to say four because I know I've heard their debut album, and I know I've heard most of the songs on that album that has um, I think it's Secrets, right? And there's one of them that's like one of my favorite songs. I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's the Green and White album. Anyways, I think it's like 2003 or 2002 or something like that. Um, you know, on this side, you can't really find really much other than the first songs you may already know from it. Like, I already knew Pictures of Life and Love is the Shield, and certainly those are the two best songs on the album. You don't find too much other songs on here that's really going to surprise you and be like a new sort of all time favorite. You will on the later ones, like the 2000, I think it's 2015. It's called that Camouflage one. I have it behind me. I have the CD. It might be self-titled. Oh, it's called Grayscale. Grayscale. That album is really that one really does have some songs on it. A well-produced album. One of the strongest comeback albums in a that I've heard in whatever genre you call this, whether it's synth pop or new wave or what have you. But one of the strongest return albums that I've ever heard. Grayscale is a really strong album. It's got a lot of good songs on it, and a lot of songs on it that will. It's a very complete song, and it's a pretty in depth album too, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 13, 14 tracks, and I can think of like 6 or 7 off the top of my head that are really good. Let alone I want to say probably close to 10, and so it's a pretty solid album, and a really good comeback album. You don't find that with this one. You don't hear much stuff besides the obvious ones, and there's only one song that I have above a 3 besides the two that I like that I knew before this. One, oh, which is sometimes the lyrics aren't great on Camouflage. I get it. You know what I mean? It's like the vocal in your skinhead is the dream, and anyone. The vocals aren't blended well at all in that. Kind of same what I was saying earlier. One Fine Day, the opening track is pretty good. It's 2.25 stars. The bass line sort of carries the song. It's really kind of an odd opener. Seems like it'd be more like a mid-album track, but it's pretty good, 2.25. Love is Shield is one of their better ones for their early career. I have it 3.25 stars. It's got a driving melody. It's got a little bit more of a gothy voice in here. It's kind of very German sounding to me. Good chorus. 3.25 stars. Anyone, I got it 1.75 stars. It's a good hook, but not the best. Your Skinhead is the Dream. It's an instrumental. Decent piano. Seems kind of long for what it does. Again, so you have two instrumentals. That's what I was trying to say earlier. You have two instrumentals in one 35-second song. So you only have 7 songs of an album on this. So it's barely enough to make an album. Your Skinhead's Dream is 1.5 stars. I got On Islands 2 stars. It feels like the band already ran out of ideas by this song. Like, it's a decent melody. It's kind of an odd sound, though. The melody's okay. It just kind of makes you question their direction that they're going for. I remember at the time, like, Great Commandment was such a great dance track. And you would think that they kind of kept on going with the dance track. There's only really one dance track on this whole album. And it's A Picture of Life. And it's really not very upbeat. It's strange that a synth pop and electronic band, their second album after having such a big electronic hit, would not really have any dance music on the album. It's really odd. Really odd. Feeling Down, track number 6. I put finally it's a typical Camouflage beat. And this one actually does sort of have a beat on it, but it's not a great one. It's 2 stars. It kind of has like an Arabic melody to it. It's kind of interesting, not bad. Sooner Than We Think is actually kind of my surprise one. Is the other one that I do like, the third one. Has a cool beat, nice violin sound. It's a little awkward or so the first minute or so. You're wondering if it's going to come together. But it does, and I like the main melody, and it's 3 stars. And then Pictures of Life. Pictures of Life. Best song on the album. not sure why they didn't do more of this on the album. More, I mean, the song flows so well, and they are good. They can write good songs. I don't, this album feels rushed. Maybe that's it. It's just um, very good melody. Verses are really good, especially on Pictures of Life. 3.5 stars. Les Russes, the 35 instrumental, I gave it a 0. I don't 35-second song that doesn't do anything on there. I was a little upset at this point. I was just like 0. um, and Rue de Morcelet, I didn't give any score either. Oh, in fact, here's what I did. I didn't rate the 35-second track, so I just said no, and I didn't rate it. Rue de Morcelet, I gave 0 stars. It just doesn't do anything for me at all. It's kind of an awkward ending as well. It's just very strange songs. It makes no sense on why that song is on this album to me. It doesn't match them. It doesn't match the album. It's just not a good song. So basically, when I added up the stars, I divided it by 9 songs instead of 10 songs. I left out the 35-second tracks. The rating would be even worse. So 19 and a quarter stars divided by 9. It's a 2.13 rating. So I barely, by the skin of the teeth, I gave this one a 51 out of 100. It's an okay album, barely. It's close to not very good or worse. It's just an okay album. You might buy it for a couple songs, but you bought it because you saw it on the shelf like I did for $5 or $7 20 years ago. Took a chance on it because you used to like Camouflage. But thank God they made a return, and thank God they have some good stuff in the 2000s. And I am really looking forward to them making another album. I really think they do have talent. They've gotten better with their age. This album seems rushed. Not enough material in it. Not enough songs in it. 3 instrumental songs in it. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't get it. And some parts of it is poorly recorded to boot. So it's bad on multiple levels, unfortunately. But yeah, I still gave it a 51 because it's got 3 songs I like on it. So saying all that, I'll still say it's an okay album, but it's right on the edge. All right, that's my review on Camouflage, Methods of Silence from 1989.